Fantasy football fans, we are right in the midst of week 2 of the NFL preseason. This is the time when fantasy drafts are starting to pick up. We got to get our notes ready. We got to be dialed in. Our strategy has to be tuned to 110% for our drafts that are coming up in the next few weeks. We are just a couple weeks away from the 2024 NFL and fantasy season officially kicking off. And that is why it is vital that we get right into these top 10 running backs. But before we do, please do me a huge favor. Take 2 seconds out of your day, leave a like, and hit that subscribe button. I don't work for anybody. I'm a complete independent. I don't have any sponsorships. It's just a broke college kid talking fantasy football because he loves interacting with you guys. So do me a huge favor, leave a like, and hit that subscribe button. And let's jump right into my top 10 quarterbacks for the 2024 fantasy football season. Coming in at number 10 is going to be the old head, Alvin Kamara, sneaking inside my top 10. He's fallen a little bit on the consensus rankings, but he is good enough in my eyes to be deserving of this number 10 spot. Let's go ahead and discuss a few of the red flags with Alvin Kamara. Number 1, of course, is the age. He is maybe top 2, if not the oldest running back on this top 10 list. Age is definitely a concern, and with that is going to come the injury troubles that we have seen with Alvin Kamara dealing with in previous seasons. So those are definitely 2 red flags, along with the fact that the Saints offense is a little bit questionable. Derek Carr at the helm of the offense, but we have seen what Derek Carr can do when he gets scared to throw the ball downfield, and that is absolutely spoon feed Alvin Kamara the checkdowns game after game after game. He has seen 10 plus targets multiple games for multiple seasons, and I don't see this season being any different. Last season, Alvin per game was top 5, maybe even top 3 in points per game among running backs, just struggled to stay on the field. So in my eyes, if he can stay on the field, he is absolutely going to be a top 10, potentially even top 5 running back. So that's my number 10 running back. Number 9 is going to be Travis Etienne of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's go ahead and discuss a few of the red flags. Number 1, the offensive line isn't spectacular. Definitely something to worry about. Number 2, Lawrence can get some decent work done around the goal line as well as just on the ground in general. He could hoard away a few of those goal line carries and a little bit of the rushing work from Travis Etienne. That is something to keep an eye on as well. But the Jaguars could be a very sneaky good offense this season. I believe they have a chance to do some serious damage. They were one of the best teams in the NFL record-wise until the absolute collapse about midway through the year last year. The Jaguars could be something special, and Etienne is going to be the focal point of that offense. Number 8 is going to be Jonathan Taylor. He is farther down my rankings than the consensus. That seems to be a familiar theme with me. Let's go ahead and discuss why. Number 1, there is no denying the talent of Anthony Richardson, especially when it comes to the goal line. Richardson got, I think it was 4 rushing touchdowns in 3 full games last year. Richardson is going to steal a ton of goal line carries from Jonathan Taylor, and that is going to be huge and detrimental to his fantasy performance for this season. Definitely something to be concerned about, along with the injury trouble of Jonathan Taylor. He has struggled to stay on the field since that absolutely massive season he had in, what was that, 2022, I believe. So injury issues and Anthony Richardson goal line carries and just rushing work in general is going to be very concerning for Jonathan Taylor. Along with this Colts offense in general, we have a lot of new faces. Anthony Richardson is a new face. There's no denying that. We have the new rookie wide receiver. Josh Downs has been injured. We have no idea. The coaching staff has just been cycling through lately. So the Colts are just kind of a complete question mark in general. I am staying far, far away from Jonathan Taylor. Number 7, arguably one of the safest running backs that you can draft, in my opinion, is Isaiah Pacheco. He is going to be a 3-down workhorse running back on one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in the NFL. There is no denying what the Kansas City Chiefs can do. They exceed expectations year after year, and yet every year, for some reason, we convince ourselves that they aren't going to be the superstar caliber team that they are every single year. Isaiah Pacheco is going to be a huge beneficiary from that. Let's discuss a couple of the red flags, though. Number 1, it's going to be an extremely pass-heavy offense. Obviously, when you have the greatest quarterback in the NFL, arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, you're going to let the ball fly through the air. Pacheco may see a bit less rushing work than some of these other running backs inside the top 10, which is why he's all the way down at number 7 for me. He's obviously not the go-to option on this offense. They have Travis Kelce. They have Rashee Rice if he's on the field. Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce, if you need a play to get made, are definitely going to be better options than Pacheco. That's just the way that it is. We have also seen Mahomes have the ability to get a little bit of work done on the ground. Not anything crazy. He doesn't get a whole lot of touchdown rushes, so I'm not too concerned about that, but I'm just trying to raise concern for everything that we could possibly discuss when it comes to these top 10 running backs. I think Pacheco, given the offense, given the 3-down workhorse running back that got rid of Jerick McKinnon, he is going to be one of the safest running backs that you can draft at right around the 2-3 turn in your drafts this season. Number 6, one of my most drafted running backs this season is James Cook. What are the red flags with James Cook? There is only one red flag, and it is Josh Allen, of course. He had nearly, I think it was 15 rushing touchdowns last season. That is an absurdly high amount of rushing touchdowns. Cook is going to be the best player on this offense. He's going to be a 3-down workhorse running back. I'm not concerned about Ray Davis that they drafted. Cook is far better talent, and talent rises to the top. Cook is going to be a 3-down back. The Bills are a fairly pass-heavy offense, but given the new weapons, I think they're going to heavily lean into James Cook, both in the rushing game and in the receiving game as well. As the focal point of this offense, give me James Cook in the 4th round every day of the week. We've made it through the top 6. If you've made it this far, please do me a huge favor. Click that like button, click that subscribe button. Let me know what you think of these 10 through 6 running back rankings. I would love to hear your guys' feedback. I have a feeling these top 5 guys are not going to be quite what you expect. And I am very excited to hear your guys' responses on what you think of these top 5. So click that like button, click that subscribe button, and let's jump right into the top 5 rankings. Starting with number 5, Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs. What the heck? Jahmyr Gibbs isn't in the top 4? What are you talking about? Trust me, this injury in the preseason is definitely something to worry about. I believe it's a hamstring, maybe a calf, something lower body Jahmyr Gibbs is dealing with. We've seen these injuries linger all the way through the season, on top of the fact that David Montgomery is still on this Lions team. And as much as it drives me bananas that the Lions use 2 running backs, I understand from a football standpoint why it's effective and why you'd want to do it. But for fantasy, it absolutely destroys Jahmyr Gibbs' value. If the Lions did not have David Montgomery, or even if he just played 25% of the snaps, Jahmyr Gibbs would be my RB1. No debate. I'm telling you right now, if Montgomery goes down or Montgomery was not there, Gibbs is my running back 1 for fantasy. But he is there, and we need to be concerned about it because we have seen the goal line work go to Montgomery in the past. I believe it's going to shift more towards Gibbs as time goes along, but it is definitely something to note along with the injury troubles as we previously mentioned. He's already dealing with a little something. We saw him deal with a few things last season. The injuries are something that we need to be concerned about, and that's why he is my running back number 5. Running back number 4, an absolute wild card that you guys are not ready for, and that is Rachaad White. Now, why in the world do I have Rachaad White as my number 4 running back, you're asking? Well, number 1, what has changed for Rachaad White from last season to this season when he absolutely went off? Absolutely nothing has changed. Rachaad White was getting fed checkdowns by Baker Mayfield like there was no tomorrow. They are going to continue to throw checkdown after checkdown after checkdown to Rachaad White. He is going to be a 3-down workhorse running back. And no, I am not concerned about Bucky Irving, who got drafted in like the 4th round or something like that. Bucky Irving does everything that Rachaad White does, just worse. He's just overall a worse running back in every way than Rachaad White. So Rachaad White is going to be a 3-down running back. He is a workhorse. He is going to get the work. He is young. He is hungry. He has not dealt with injury troubles. There is complete safety blanket with Rachaad White from a volume standpoint. The Buccaneers obviously are an extremely pass-heavy offense. I think they have the potential to be the number 1 passing attempt team in the NFL this season. And Rachaad White, as we have seen in the previous seasons, is going to be a huge beneficiary from the checkdowns. I understand that the efficiency on the ground is a bit of a concern, but when you're the only guy there, efficiency does not matter a whole lot because if he's getting volume near the goal line, he's going to be scoring here and there. This offense is going to be all right. We have a few question marks with Baker Mayfield. Can he continue to keep the good quality of football rolling on from last season? Definitely something to worry about. But I believe Rachaad White is the number one safest running back that you can draft in your fantasy drafts this season. And he's going at like the 3-4 turn. Please draft Rachaad White. You will not regret it. Number 3 running back on my list is Christian McCaffrey. Yes, he is outside of my top running back. He's outside of my top 2 running backs. Let's talk about it. Reason number 1, why he is my QB3. The offensive line isn't spectacular on the 49ers. The age is a huge concern, along with the injury troubles that are already beginning to pile on Christian McCaffrey. We saw it early on in his career. We've had a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a break. I thought he was starting to prove everyone wrong that he is not labeled the injury-prone running back. And then bang, calf injury, being held out of the preseason, going to be sitting at practice. That old body, we don't know how well it's going to recover from something like a lower leg injury, such as a calf strain. We don't know. It's going to linger all the way throughout the season. There are probably more injuries that are going to pile on to that calf strain, given his age. And the offensive line, those reasons are reasons for me to stay away from Christian McCaffrey as a top 3 running back, as a number 1 overall pick. You do not want a guy dealing with a calf strain at age freaking 38, whatever he is, to be your number 1 overall pick. Please do not take Christian McCaffrey as your number 1 overall pick this season. Running back 2 on my list is going to be Breece the Beast Hall of the New York Jets. Let's go ahead and talk about a few of the red flags. The offensive line, again, not spectacular. We saw that with Zach Wilson at quarterback last season. They have made quite a few attempts to make that offensive line improve this season, including in the NFL draft. I believe a few trades as well. However, we're yet to see it proven on the field. So as of now, I am not going to believe it until I see it. Number 2, I believe we are going to see something that people are not considering that is going to decrease in value given Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers, and that is the check down ratio. Zach Wilson cannot throw the ball downfield, you guys. We saw it for the entire season last season. When you are a terrible quarterback, you rely on checkdowns, and checkdowns. And Breece Hall saw 95 targets last season of checkdowns from Zach Wilson because he couldn't throw the ball downfield. Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback, and I don't know if he's going to perform up to the level that he has in previous seasons, but I know one thing. He's going to be able to throw the ball more than 5 yards downfield, and he is going to air the ball out to Garrett Wilson, to Mike Williams, if he has the chance. He is not going to target Breece Hall behind the line of scrimmage 95 times like he saw last season. It's not going to happen. We're going to see a ratio or a regression in those receptions from Breece Hall, from Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback position, and that is something that is not being talked about by enough people. And then reason number 3, red flag number 3, is just Aaron Rodgers, as we previously discussed. We don't know if he is going to be that Hall of Fame quarterback. We don't even know if he's going to be an average quarterback. Achilles injuries are no joke. He's obviously getting old. He is not in his prime. So the reasons of offensive line not being spectacular, the reception regression with Aaron Rodgers, and then just the question marks of Aaron Rodgers are enough for me to keep Breece Hall outside of my number 1 running back. I understand that he is one of the best talents in the NFL. He is a 3-down workhorse. Yes, he has that reception ability. The Jets' offense should be new and improved. So Breece is a very good option, but he is not my number 1 running back. Number 1, doubling down from last season, is Bijan Robinson. RB1, let's discuss the 2 red flags. Number 1, offensive line, again, is not spectacular. I won't spend too much time talking about that. Number 2 is Tyler Algier, and the new coaching staff are 2 question marks. We don't know how much Algier is going to be involved in the rushing volume scheme of things on the offensive side of the football. If they want to win games, they need to give Bijan Robinson the ball 20-plus times a game. Tyler Algier should not be on the field. He should not be the goal line back like he was last season. Bijan is going to see a majority, if not all, of the rushing workload. I understand Tyler Algier had 1,000 rushing yards in his rookie season. I do not care. When you have a top 3 running back talent in the NFL, you give him the ball a lot, and you keep the other guys off of the field. That is the truth and the way that the Falcons need to operate this season if they want to be good. The other reason that Bijan Robinson raises concerns is Kirk Cousins. Same exact thing with Aaron Rodgers. We've seen Kirk Cousins elevate offenses, but we haven't seen it coming off an Achilles injury. We have no idea how good Kirk Cousins is going to be this season. So, I just went through my top 10 running backs. Obviously, you can see the concerns that come with every single guy. There is never going to be a perfect draft choice, and that is why we are talking through these draft picks. So let me know in the comments below what guys concern you, what guys you're targeting. I wanted to raise the red flags for every single running back. There is no immune running back to red flags. Everyone has issues that need to be discussed. Let's go ahead and talk about a few of the guys outside of my top 10 rankings that are inside the top 10 rankings for the consensus. Number 1 is going to be Saquon Barkley. Why in the world do I have Saquon Barkley outside my top 10, you're asking? Reason number 1, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has been the most dominant quarterback on the goal line when it comes to rushing in NFL history. We have seen the tush push work at like a 97% succession rate. You don't go away from a 97% succession rate. I don't understand I don't care if Jason Kelce is not there, which is another one of the red flags why we are avoiding Saquon Barkley, is because the Eagles' offensive line is going to take a significant step down from last season without Jason Kelce. But going back to the QB sneak, I don't care if you add one of the strongest, one of the best running backs in the NFL. If you have a quarterback who can rush the ball into the end zone on the goal line at a 97% success rate, I am not doing anything different. And if that 3% happens on third down and they don't get into the end zone, what do? Well, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing the same exact thing again. 97% of the time, it's going to work. Saquon Barkley is not going to be the primary option on the goal line, and that is enough for me to raise a large amount of concern and avoid Saquon Barkley as an early second-round draft pick. That is way too early. He's on a new team. We don't know how he's going to fit into that scheme. He should be a 3-down back, but we don't see Jalen Hurts check the ball down. He's just going to tuck it and run. Saquon is not going to get the receptions that he has in previous seasons. And we also don't know what the balance of pass-heavy to run-heavy offense is going to look like. I believe the Eagles are still going to air the ball out. The Giants could just spoon-feed Saquon Barkley game after game because it's the only way that they could get the ball to any effective skill player. The Eagles have A.J. Brown. The Eagles have Devonta Smith. The Eagles have Jalen Hurts who can run. Saquon Barkley is not the only guy on that offense like he was with the New York Giants. I don't care what people say. When people say that this is a better situation for Saquon to succeed on the Eagles than the Giants, I completely disagree. The Giants, when he was the only guy on the offense, that was a much better situation for Saquon. This is a no-brainer to avoid Saquon Barkley this season. The number 2 guy I have excluded outside of my top 10 is Kyren Williams of the Los Angeles Rams. I understand he was one of the most efficient guys in NFL history last season when it came to production compared to the amount of time he was on the field. He only played 12 games last season. That is concern number 1, is can he stay healthy? He is an undersized running back. I understand this offseason he has put more emphasis on staying healthy, but I'll believe it when I see it. Reason number 2, they drafted Blake Corum. He did not get drafted as the number 1 or number 2 running back off the board in the NFL draft to sit on the bench. And when you are dealing with a running back who struggles to stay healthy, they are going to keep him off the field and use the guy that they just drafted to keep him healthy. That's what people aren't understanding, is when they say Kyren Williams struggled to stay on the field, but this season he's just a much better talent than Blake Corum and we don't need to worry. No, if you are a coaching staff and you have a guy that struggles to stay healthy, you're going to do your best to keep him fresh however you can. And that is going to mean utilizing Blake Corum if you are the Los Angeles Rams. He is going to get a significant amount of work, much more work than people are giving credit for. They did not draft him to sit on the bench. I understand Kyren is the much better talent. I understand the type of efficiency he had last season. But Blake Corum is there. And I also believe that having Puka Nacua, having a healthy Cooper Kupp, and having one of the best and most accurate and toughest quarterbacks in the NFL in Matthew Stafford over the last decade is going to mean that the Rams are also going to air the ball out a ton. This offense is going to be great, but they are going to be pass heavy yet again. So these are the reasons why I am avoiding Kyren Williams inside my top 10 this season. The number three and final guy that is outside of my top 10, just barely. He is essentially the same for me as he is in the consensus rankings. I believe I have him 1 or 2 spots lower. That knocks him outside the top 10 is De'Von Achane of the Miami Dolphins. I believe Achane's a great talent. I believe he is going to be an absolute monster when it comes to receptions, when it comes to touchdowns. The Dolphins' offense is going to be electric. I believe he is going to take over that backfield over Raheem Mostert. I don't believe Jalen Wright is going to see the field unless there is an injury to one of these two guys. So let's talk about a couple of the concerns. Number one is obviously injury. Can he stay on the field? That is what has booted him outside of the top 10 for me. And then number two is just the running back by committee. We saw how much the Dolphins love Raheem Mostert. It is a bit concerning that they drafted Jalen Wright. The three-back running back committee could be something that makes Achane really be underwhelming this season. Just those red flags are enough to keep him outside of the top 10 for me. There we are. We discussed my top 10 running backs. We discussed the 3 running backs who I'm excluding outside of my top 10. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this top 10 list. Obviously, there are some controversial rankings. I would love to get your guys' feedback. Make sure to please leave a like and subscribe on this video. It would be greatly appreciated. I hope to catch you guys in the final 2 episodes of this top 10 series. Last episode, we talked about the top 10 quarterbacks. Make sure to go check that episode out if you have not seen it already. Today, we talked running backs. Tomorrow is going to be wide receivers, and the following day is going to be tight ends. So make sure to turn on post notifications. We are going to keep the content rolling. Fantasy football season is back. I hope you guys have a great rest of the weekend. Hope to see you in the comments below. God bless.